What if I told you that your digital facade is just a front that hides something dark and overwhelming? A metropolis steeped in despair opens its doors to a world where life is filled with shadow. Here, among the abandoned streets, neon signs barely pierce through the thick smog, penetrating the dark corridors of forgotten buildings as if trying to illuminate the darkest corners of the human soul. Have you ever wondered what lies behind the polished avatars and perfect images in virtual reality? Life here among the ruins of once majestic metropolis reveals the true faces, scared, confused, and lost. All around the remnants of old drones, the melody of their flickering reminds us of how fragile our world is. Each of us wears a mask, but what happens when the world we've built begins to crumble? Frozen fears and unfulfilled dreams start to rise to the surface, like shards of glass rolling over dark asphalt. System failures are not just technical problems. They are an opportunity to look into the abyss of our own souls and see who is there, far from sparkling logos and perfect backgrounds. However, in this grim context, there is one undeniable truth. Instead of blaming others, we must look within ourselves. The shadow we fear so much may be the key to our freedom. Every step taken toward our fears brings hope. Hope that by exploring our own dark corners, we can learn to live honestly, gaining a new understanding of trust. In this world, where technology reigns, true humanity becomes the light at the end of the tunnel. What if your own path to liberation begins right here, amid the shattered streets and flickering neon? What if all these virtual masks are just a way to hide from the truth? Welcome to the holographic lobby, where ambitions clash with reality, and anonymity becomes a refuge from the true self. Here, users, like artists, choose their avatars. Every step is an attempt to conceal their real emotions, feelings, and fears. Selfie masks shimmer in all the colors of the rainbow, and someone even laughs, creating an image that has nothing to do with their true nature. But consider, why do we hide ourselves? Each avatar is a new identity, a virtual armor in a world where appearance is more important than reality. How often have we encountered false images around us? This is not just a game with masks. It is a social experiment that makes us reflect on how we perceive ourselves and others. Looking around, we see people with happy eyes and expressions, but in their hearts, there may be something completely opposite. The thought, how often do others see our true essence? Suddenly becomes shocking. Can we really say who we are while standing behind a veil of holograms? Or perhaps we will forever remain unknown to one another, hidden behind the threads of digital masks. This virtual reality is not just entertainment, but a way to see how easily one can lose the preciousness of personal privacy. As we venture into the world of masks, we ask with all our being, who am I really? What if you could become anyone? Who would you dream of being if there were no limitations? Imagine how your ideal image reflects all your desires and ambitions. What mask hides your true dreams? Take a moment to ponder. If you could remove all barriers, what would you undertake? What path would you choose to achieve your goals? This is not just a fantasy. It is an opportunity to understand yourself, to realize who you truly want to be. Each of us wears a mask that protects us from the world, a safe shelter for our dreams and fears. But what if there is incredible potential behind that mask? Who would you become if you took it off? Are you ready to take the first step towards your ideal image? What if I told you that the ideals you admire are often far from reality? Imagine this. You log into social media, and a smiling person with a flawless face looks back at you, appearing as if their life is nothing but joy and success. Every comment, every like seems to emphasize that this avatar is the ideal everyone aspires to. But what lies behind this image? We see how they calmly respond to comments, catching every compliment as if it were their life's goal. "Thank you for your support. You are the best," they say with that carefree smile that captures the attention of millions. Yet somewhere deep inside, their words sound like an echo, merely a polite response to the unseen pains of misunderstanding and loneliness. While they receive admiration under every post, the real person behind the screen may feel shyness, self-hatred, or even the fear of rejection. It's a contrast, the perfect avatar holding a smile and the real person hiding behind this mask. How often do we forget that behind every ideal there may be genuine feelings and experiences? We all strive for something greater, but sometimes that ideal becomes a trap. Are we really ready to continue dreaming of the unattainable when reality can offer so much? Let's ask ourselves, how do you feel about your life off-screen? What if everything you see around you is just an illusion? In a world where technology has created a perfect reality, suddenly a glitch occurs. Screens begin to flicker, avatars that once looked flawless deform like clay under pressure. Everyone around is lost, their eyes filled with terror and confusion. Against this chaos, a blue screen emerges, a symbol of the unknown originating from the center of the system. This screen seems to breathe, pulsing with every moment as if signaling an impending disaster. What is happening? The program code that governs this reality is collapsing like a house of cards, and that very corner of a comfortable world becomes an arena for unpredictability. Who is to blame for this collapse? Is it a system failure, or has someone intentionally set off this chaos? Shadows begin to loom and tension hangs in the air. How do avatars react when the pursuit of perfection clashes with a reality where everything can go wrong? Reality is on the brink of changes that could be transformative. Questions fill the space, and the realization that their familiar world may never be the same again occupies their consciousness. What will happen next? Everyone reacts in their own way. Panic, confusion, a desire to understand what is happening. Stay tuned for developments. The blue screen shows no signs of slowing down, and all attention is already focused on what lies ahead. Prepare for a shocking truth. Many of us believe that in the virtual world we are protected, that we can be anyone and our identities remain unchanged. But what if I told you that this is just an illusion? A user's face appears on the screen, a young person with an energetic look, his avatar in virtual reality. He smiles, immersed in the game, unaware that something terrible is about to happen. Suddenly, something goes wrong. His face gradually distorts, as if under the influence of an invisible force. First, the corners of his mouth become inappropriately wide, then his skin begins to lose color, turning into a gray mass. His eyes start to transform into bottomless voids, devoid of expression. What is happening? The surroundings crackle with tension, as if the virtual world itself is shaking under the weight of what has occurred. Emotions overflow from fear to bewilderment. Shock is etched on his face, as if he suddenly realized that behind the mask of invulnerability lies fragility. We all risk being caught in this virtual labyrinth, forgetting that true vulnerability may be hidden beneath a flawless avatar. As the facial mask begins to melt away, only memories of what we really look like remain. What will happen next? Will he be able to cope with this incredible shock, or will the virtual space consume him forever? What is it like to lose oneself in view of all, becoming a victim of one's own illusions? This moment is breathtaking and makes us reflect on our real identity. Are you ready to discover what real life looks like beyond virtual illusions? The image of a vibrant digital world instantly merges with the heavy reality. The transparent helmet flies to the side, revealing the devastation of an abandoned warehouse before you. Dusty rays of light pierce through cracks in the ceiling, illuminating old rusty pipes like skeletons of a forgotten time. The wreckage of drones that once buzzed above people's heads now lies lifeless, a reminder of unfulfilled dreams and lost opportunities. The silence is striking. It weighs down like a stone on the heart. You look around and suddenly realize that this grim corridor is not just a backdrop, but a reflection of your own fears. Virtual reality can be vibrant, but it does not negate the real world, filled with pain and loss. How often have you wondered, are you truly living, or merely existing within colorful frames, adjusting each scene to fit yourself? A glance at the cracked walls evokes the feeling that the real adventure begins right here, among these ruins where each step resonates with your sincerity. What if those drones that once lifted you high are long forgotten? What if real life demands more from you than just pressing buttons? Virtual emotions may be fleeting, but real pain and joy, they are genuine. Ahead lies the unknown, and only you decide how to confront it. Nothing can replace the real, and now you know that. Let's immerse ourselves in this world that awaited you when you chose to exchange the helmet for reality. Listen. It is here, among the ruins, that you will find yourself. What if I tell you that the masks we wear become heavy over time? Look at yourself in the mirror. Who are you really? The faces we show the world can be fragments of our true feelings, and sometimes it seems there are so many that you simply get lost. In this cold, dark room, illuminated only by cold neon, thoughts arise like shadowy ghosts. I have always hidden behind smiles, behind phrases that are heard and accepted as truth. At times, I even believed what I was saying. But when silence falls, when you are left alone with your thoughts, the real conversation begins. With yourself. There are no witnesses, only the voice inside that does not quiet down, like an echo in an empty corridor. Isn't it true that we try to please everyone? It seems to me that all these masks of perfection are nothing but the fear of being rejected. I remembered a childhood incident. How I once cried when I didn't pass a test, and instead of showing my vulnerability, I put on the mask of everything is fine. Why? To avoid being judged, misunderstanding. Every day I had to choose. What will I wear today? So much effort to hide the truth about myself. None of us are perfect. Each one keeps their secrets, their wounds. I remember how I once thought that falling was the end, but in reality it was the beginning. There is no need to hide. I am already tired of others' expectations and my own game. But how many people around me do the same? How many stories are hidden behind those smiles in life? What if I say that what truly matters is being real? Allowing yourself to feel, allowing others to see you without pretense. Yes, it's scary. But is it so frightening if it opens the path to freedom? Each of us can become our own best friend if we allow ourselves to be vulnerable. Remember, the world is full of sincerity, but only if we ourselves are ready to accept it. Perhaps it is time to take off the mask and see who we truly are. What if I told you that someone who was part of your life could disappear in an instant? I sat in silence, scrolling through my social media feed, and suddenly it hit me. My friend's profile had been deleted. He just vanished. No explanations, no farewell words, as if no one ever knew him. Thoughts spun in my head. What happened? Where is he? This was a person with whom I shared joys and sorrows. We laughed and argued together, planned the future, discussed dreams. And now, silence. Is it really so easy to hand over our feelings to the realm of virtuality, believing it is safe? I remembered how many times I ignored the small signals that told me something was wrong. It's not just a coincidence. It's a sign. The noisy world of social media has become a desert where even emojis could not fill the image of the lost friend. I recalled how he shared his experiences, how he opened up to me, a real, living person. And now between us lies only a silent screen and unknown reasons for his departure. Every like, every comment, it's just a mask. Behind it may hide deep wounds that we will never know about. How many more lost souls are unable to share their pain? Each of us, glued to our phones, can lose someone without even noticing. Trust crumbles, and as evidence of this, only empty profiles remain in our feeds. Don't miss the chance to talk to those who are near. Share your thoughts. Show that they matter to you. Don't let your friends vanish into silence. Why are we so afraid to reveal our true selves? What do our smiles and the masks we wear every day hide? We run away from the open gaze as if our biggest fear is hiding behind it. This mask is our defense mechanism, preventing us from being vulnerable. Have you ever thought that beneath its rigid exterior could be a fragile soul longing for understanding and acceptance? Remember the moment when you were genuine, when no one was watching, when you freed yourself from all conventions. That feeling when you are not afraid of others' opinions, when even your heart feels like it is laid bare. But as soon as others appear on the horizon, you take that very mask again. Why does this happen? Do we really believe that the opinions of others are more important than our own inner voice? What if this lack of confidence is just an illusion created by decades of expectations and stereotypes? We hide our flaws, which might make us even more human. Perhaps your true self has been suppressed for too long, fearing rejection. But imagine that you took off this mask. What if an incredible personality ready to shine truly lies behind it? Why is it so difficult to trust the world and yourself? Think about it. Are you ready to reveal your true face? Are you ready to learn the truth about how your likes control your behavior? Imagine that every time you receive a new notification, your life changes. The avatar you lovingly created suddenly starts to conform to the expectations of others. The soft light embracing your screen is like temptation. One more like and you are back in the spotlight. But what lies behind this picture? Thousands of empty bellies devoid of real interaction, just screens and fleeting shivers across the body. Welcoming comments and praises have shaped your perception as if they were made of gold. Why leave your individuality behind if you can be what others like? Whispers a voice inside you. Your avatar now wears a mask. It has become a mirror for others' expectations. Each new like is like a drug providing temporary relief, but the question remains: how long will this happiness last? The fear of being misunderstood suffocates more and more as you hide behind gathered virtual applause. You become increasingly enclosed in your perfect image, forgetting who you really are. But notice that real feelings are raging inside. Fears that are chasing you at your heels. How many times have you looked at the screen hoping that the next notification will be the one that fills the emptiness inside? At this moment you realize, behind the perfect avatar lies someone who has been seeking validation of their existence through the eyes of others for years. Perhaps the facade created from approval will become the cornerstone of your reality, and you will lose yourself in this flow of likes and comments. Will you be ready to happen to yourself? Or will you continue to hide behind the screen, afraid to leave your shadow behind? What if I tell you that your digital twin might be more vulnerable than you think? In this ocean of virtual identities where millions of people build their avatars, heroes and antagonists intertwine in an endless stream of data, one mistake can lead to catastrophe. Imagine a metropolis pulsating with life, giant screens flashing faces. Suddenly everything stops. Every step down the street is accompanied by the relentless whistling of notifications. People stare at their smartphones in confusion. Their avatars suddenly cease to function. Erroneous codes fill the screens like a virus. One by one, digital personalities begin to disappear like soap bubbles under the sun's rays. This abrupt destruction affects not only virtual reality but also the real world. It is impossible to predict the damage this will cause to future generations as we all strive for perfection in our digital reflection. Hundreds of users simultaneously lose their achievements, connections, dreams, all in the blink of an eye. As if in an arena where everyone played their roles, the signal for the end of the performance suddenly sounds. Systems explode with messages asking, "Where are my achievements? Why can't I connect?" But the danger is not over yet. Panic ensues as everyone tries to find the cause of the failure. What if it's not just a coding error, but something more? Did someone decide to sever the connection between the real and the virtual, thus exposing our vulnerability? We all were confident in the safety of our digital selves, until this moment arrived. Total uncertainty envelops the city, and everything we believed in is under threat. What is the price of this plunge into virtuality? Let us unravel this mysterious collapse together before it's too late. What if the shadow is not just a play of light, but a reflection of our inner self? We are in an abandoned warehouse where the brick wall coldly glistens under the dim light, and suddenly on its surface, as if emerging from the depths of the subconscious, a silhouette takes shape. A dark, depressed shadow that squeezes the heart into a fist. We look at this shadow and understand. It embodies all our fears, doubts, and failures. It is not just a shadow. It is our suppressed self, which we hide from the world. Why are we afraid to show our true feelings? What really lies beneath the mask of confidence and laughter? This shadow, seemingly insubstantial, is so real. As if our moral and emotional burdens have manifested in this gloomy silhouette, tangibly reminding us of what we carry inside. We can deceive everyone around us, but we cannot hide from ourselves. And now, when we get lost in our thoughts, making the shadow appear even more grim, it begins to change. It gains movement, a path to liberation. We start to realize that this shadow is not eternal. It does not define us, it merely reflects the moment we are currently experiencing. Can we acknowledge our weaknesses, open our eyes to our fears, and take a step forward? Within each of us is the power to change our shadow, to turn it from a frightening ghost into an ally that helps us overcome our inner barriers. This shadow is a chance for transformation. What will happen if we begin to let go of our fears and accept ourselves as we are? What if I told you that everything you believed was a lie? This revelation can be devastating, like a lightning strike on a quiet day. He stands on the edge of an abyss of inner chaos, clad in the darkness of his own delusions. The camera slowly circles around him, swirling in a vortex of emotions through the noise, as if trying to find an answer in the silent void around him. He screams, the sound penetrating the depths of his soul, tearing apart his inner self as if it were merely a mask created to shield him from reality. "Why did I deceive myself again?" His cry resounds like an echo of his own thoughts bouncing off the walls of emptiness. Shattered dreams and unfulfilled goals crash over him like tidal waves, leaving only a sense of hopelessness. He struggles against this overwhelming feeling, trying to break free from the shackles of self-deception. Each circle of the camera, each frame is a new flash of awareness, forcing him to remember the moments when he ignored his own dreams, when the lie seemed more convenient. Neon lights fall, sparkling with sharp brightness, as if shining in his face the true truth he has long avoided. He freezes for a moment, pausing in the face of his crisis. He has a choice, to remain in this peak of emotions or take a step toward reality. A deep breath, the air trembles. This moment, this internal conflict, This is where his new life begins. A turning point when he realizes that change will require something more than just a scream into the void. Are you ready to see yourself in 10 years? Have you ever wondered what your life looks like if you don't change any of your usual patterns? These are the moments when we start to ask ourselves the most challenging questions. I also searched for someone to blame for a long time. Of course, it's always someone else, a colleague, a friend, parents, society. But one day, looking in the mirror, I saw not an enemy, but my own shadow. The light from the window falls on my face, and I feel the heavy atmosphere surrounding me every morning when I wake up. I always thought the problem was outside of me. But what if I tell you that the mystery lies within us? How can that be? We blame the world for our failures, but overlook that dark part of ourselves that we desperately want to hide. All this time, I simply didn't notice. My fears, doubts, and insecurities create the very obstacles that prevent me from moving forward. The inner voice whispers, "You are not worthy. No one will listen." But these are not just thoughts. It's my own shadow which I am ashamed of but cannot escape from. Imagine this. You engage in your favorite activity, motivating yourself with every step. The shadow diminishes, and suddenly, an epiphany. Change your attitude, and you'll see how the world changes around you. Are you ready to take that step? Stop looking at others, start finding the strength within yourself. The shadow is not an enemy, it's a part of you that longs for light. Look at it not as a problem, but as a source of strength. The main thing is to start the journey to yourself. Are you ready? What will happen if you stop limiting yourself? When I stood on the stage of my school theater, I was drenched in cold sweat. I remember that moment as if it happened yesterday. My heart was pounding so loudly that it seemed everyone around could hear it. And then the stage lights came on. All eyes were on me, and I, small and trembling, was trying to hide my fear. I don't know why I agreed to this role. Maybe it was a desire to try something new, or perhaps a hidden urge to break out of the shadows. But when the time came to go on stage, a terrible thought crossed my mind. What if I fail? At the moment I stepped onto the stage, the entire audience froze. Fear gnawed at me, and my inner voice whispered, "Leave while you can." But then I saw her, my mom, sitting in the front row. Her kind eyes seemed to come to my aid at that critical moment. She wasn't thrilled about my theatrical attempts, but her support was always there. That look seemed to give me strength. I stepped forward and began to speak. The sound of my voice, which at first was uncertain, began to sound more confident and louder. The fear started to fade, making way for something else. Joy. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I remember how I felt. With each line, each word that came from my lips, it became a reminder that I was not just a voice. I was someone who had the right to make mistakes, someone for whom the doors of self-expression were open. Mistakes did not scare me. I finally realized my weakness is not a flaw. It is a part of me, a part of my journey to self-acceptance. After the performance, I didn't know how to feel. The audience erupted in applause, and at that moment I understood. I am not alone. Each of us sometimes fears stepping outside our comfort zone. It's a normal feeling, but it's not a reason to hide. The most important thing is to take a step. The sky will not fall if you make a mistake. On the contrary, it will open up new horizons and opportunities. And when I left the stage, I was no longer that boy with trembling knees. I became something more. I became myself, and this was just the beginning. Each of us can overcome our fears, learn to accept ourselves, and move forward. It's important to remember that behind fear lies strength. What if I tell you that true trust is not just the absence of a mask? Imagine this. You are standing in a dark corridor and there is not a single shadow around you. Complete silence. It seems that even the air has stopped breathing. This is the moment when you can take off the last mask that separates you from another person. Will you be able to do it? What if it's just an illusion? We trust, we distrust, but honestly, how often do we really open our hearts? Can we allow another to see us as we are? How often do we hide behind smiles, jokes, hoping to be accepted? But what happens in complete silence when the time for genuine interaction comes? Imagine you are surrounded by people who are sincere, yet your doubts paralyze you. How will you react? Is this not the essence of trust, to run or to stay? When you open the gates of your soul, you are not just risking rejection, but also allowing your own fears to unravel. When all the masks are off, what will remain? Your true nature, or the fears you tried to hide? True trust is a risk, but it is also a gift. Let's ask ourselves, can we look each other in the eyes without fear of only seeing the reflection of our own flaws? I doubt it is easy. Learn to trust unconditionally and you will find freedom. Yes, it is difficult, but isn't this the true art of relationships? What happens when two people look at each other without hiding behind masks? In the dim light, where neon lights cast soft shadows, they meet each other's gaze, and something greater than just an exchange of emotions occurs. This moment is one of vulnerability, when words become unnecessary, and the heart opens to the other. They stand facing each other and their eyes communicate what cannot be expressed in words. As if reading each other's thoughts, they understand that each of them is experiencing something deeply personal. Mistake, fear, joy, all intertwined by an invisible thread that pulls them closer to each other. In this gaze, there are no judgments or biases, only sincerity that attracts like a magnet. In this moment, anxiety fades away, leaving only silence in which they realize vulnerability is not weakness, but strength. Each raises their shields, each allows the other to see their true self without embellishments and masks. From heart to heart, from eye to eye, they become closer than ever. And this moment lasts forever, leaving behind the understanding that honest contact is what has always mattered, and that true beauty in relationships lies in this. How often do we hide behind words and images? How often do we ignore genuine feelings for fear of being vulnerable? But here, in this dim light, a light appears that shows real connection is possible if one allows oneself to be sincere, and all it takes is simply looking into each other's eyes. What if I told you that the ideal images we strive to create are actually traps? The hero walks down a long corridor, his feet tiredly pushing off the cold floor. He holds a mask in his hands that is no longer needed. It flies to the side, shattering against the wall and leaving only a sound behind. Each step is a release from expectations, from the image that is imposed upon him. Why pretend when it is so easy to be oneself? Inside him, emotions rage, fear, the fear of being misunderstood, rejected. He remembers how many times he laughed when he actually wanted to cry. Being honest with oneself means stepping beyond one's own fears. What happens when the mask is removed? He feels the weight lift from his shoulders with each step. Honesty opens doors he never even suspected. It is not always easy. Being vulnerable means daring to show your true self, without embellishments and idealizations. And even if someone pushes him away, he knows this is an explosion of honesty, not a failure. He looks back, seeing the emptiness he left in the old image. This is important. It is a step towards achievements, personal growth. If only he knew that it was honesty that would help him unlock all the doors that were once closed. Each of us can do this. The main thing is not to be afraid to be weak when necessary. True salvation comes not from ideal images, but from the courage to be real. Stuff all doubts in your pocket, throw away the masks, and just move forward. And remember that it is honesty that becomes the very light at the end of the tunnel leading to true freedom. Ready to see your true selves? Make sure your virtual filter is turned off. Yes, that's right. Pay close attention. On the left are illusions, to the right is reality. We constantly hide behind masks, smiling at the camera. But what if I told you that true beauty lies in sincerity? More often than not, we forget that simplicity in communication is the key to real connections. Why hide your emotions, your thoughts, your experiences under shiny effects and filters? Think about how much time you spend trying to look better instead of being yourself. Here's an interesting fact. 90% of people who communicate through screens prefer to hide their flaws, but they lack genuine interaction. How many opportunities have you missed out on fearing to show your true side? You are now on the brink of change. Turn off the screen filters and let your true self come to light. Imagine how much easier it will be to breathe when you don't have to pretend to be someone else. How much deeper your connections will become when, beyond the masks, you can find real people. So take the first step. Turn off the disguise. Turn off the filters. Allow the world to see you. Do it now. Send a message to a loved one and honestly share what you feel. Change will begin with your first step. Don't postpone it till tomorrow. Are you ready to discover what lies behind the dark silhouettes of this metropolis? It's time to look at the city from a different perspective, because even on the darkest nights, there are glimpses of light. In every home where silence once reigned, warm lights now shine. In them exists life, warmth, and hope. These lights are symbols hinting that change is possible. They dance on the windows as if confident that everyone can find their way to brilliance. We see people living in these homes. Some are reading a book, some are discussing with friends, and some are simply contemplating the future. All of them are overcoming their difficulties, finding comfort in the little things. Every moment is filled with potential. The lights do not just burn, they radiate hope, reminding us that change begins with those who are not afraid to dream. No matter how gloomy our evening city may seem, it is full of mysteries and opportunities. All we need is a little more courage to take the first step. For even a small light can illuminate the darkness. We conclude our journey here under the starry sky, where darkness intertwines with light, and each of us is capable of being a part of this change. What if tomorrow these lights shine even brighter? Let's not lose hope, for it is hope that leads us to new horizons. What if you could drop all the masks you wear every day? Imagine what it's like to free yourself from the expectations of others and show your true self. In a world where everyone tries to seem like someone they're not, ask yourself, which mask are you ready to take off today? Open your heart and share your thoughts in the comments. This is your chance to be sincere, and perhaps one of you will become a source of strength for others.